Our next speaker today, I've had the privilege of hearing multiple times, and is a phenomenal communicator and is an illusionist that will blow every single part of your mind, every single part, but also communicates the truth of God in such an incredible way. And so I hope that you guys have notebooks ready. I hope you're ready to hear from the Lord and write some stuff down, because not only will he blow your mind, but he also is going to drop some truth bombs from God's word on you guys. And so I hope you guys are ready. Give it up for Harris III.
Awesome. Thanks so much, bro. Hey, how are you guys? You good? Good. Man, what an incredible time of worship. I'm so excited to be hanging out with you. As he said, my name's Harris. I flew in all the way from Nashville, Tennessee last night to hang out with you guys here in Southern California. And if it is okay with you guys, this is not really just about me. This is not the kind of thing where you guys just sit out there, relax, and watch and listen. This is a live event. This means you guys get to participate. I want to make you guys a part of this thing. Is that okay? Can you guys participate? Let me get you guys warmed up. So about half of you were excited about that. We need to make sure you're all excited about that. So let me just try something that everyone here can participate in. It will also help familiarize you with my vocation, what I do for a living, in addition to speaking and telling you stories. So everybody take their hands, put them out in front of you like this. We'll get everybody stretched out, warmed up. Notebooks down for just a moment. Hands out in front. Hands out in front. Hands out in front. Everybody, come on, do it. I'm not going to take your wallets, all right? All right, this is easy. All right, step number one goes like this. Hands together. Looks good, looks good. Take one arm. A little delayed reaction among some of you, but stretch your fingers out really well. Go and get your hands stretched out really well. This is important. You'll see why here in just a second. Holy cow, who was that? Someone in this section just broke like 14 fingers, it sounded like. Who was that? That dude back there, you okay, man? I heard that cracking all the way up here. As soon as your hands are stretched out, put your hands out in front of you again. This time you're going to take your thumbs that are pointing up, just turn them down to the inside like this so that they're pointing down. Thumbs down, thumbs down. Backs of your hands together. Looks good. Take one arm, cross it over the other. It's where things get a little more complicated. See if you can take your hands and interlock your fingers back together. Squeeze them together really tight. Do not let go. This is very important. Keep your thumbs pointed down. You'll see why in just a second. Thumbs down. Hold that right there. Just going to scan the crowd real quick. Make sure everyone's actually participating. We got, there's like a couple people up there in that corner not participating. Doing the tank top. All right. He's not going to do it. Too cool for this. That's all right. You're off the hook. All right. Everyone else looks good. Bonus points if you can wiggle only your pinkies at the same time. All right. Here's the big part. Here we go. Everyone watch. Follow along. All right. Thumbs up. Let's give it a little twist. A few of you. Most of you know. All right, maybe not. Everybody do this. Everybody do this. Give yourselves a round of applause for participating. All right, now listen. When I was little, some of you, your mind is totally blown right now. You're like, what in the world just happened? Some of you caught the secret to that really simple trick, and it is a simple trick, and you're like, really? They flew in a guy all the way from Nashville to show us that? Because you're like, that's not that impressive. But what's interesting, and the reason why I love sharing this with people, is as an illusionist, when I was a kid, way before I was traveling around the world performing magic professionally, there was this guy in my school who came up and they're like, hey, you're the kid that likes magic tricks. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I know a magic trick, but he did not perform it for me. He just told me the secret steps. He was like, yeah, man, did you know if you walk up to someone, like a total stranger, and you just ask them to do this and this and this with their hands, the person watching you, they will actually have no idea how to get their thumbs turned up. And I was like, no, man, no one is ever going to fall for something that simple. I went and tried it for someone, like most of you, their minds were blown, and they were like, how in the world did you do that? And I walked away thinking, wow, it is like really easy for people to be tricked and deceived. And what I've now discovered after spending literally the last 20 years of my life traveling around the world doing magic shows is that it is true. It is easy for us as human beings to be cleverly deceived. But I've also discovered the reason why is not because you guys aren't smart. You guys are all really intelligent human beings made in the image of God. The problem is most people, unlike maybe a magician or an illusionist, most people have never studied subjects like trickery or deception. They have no idea how tricks work, which makes it possible for people who do, like me, to take advantage of that fact and deceive them. Now, we'll talk about that a little bit, but I know it's going to be way more fun if I actually show you guys, right? So let's get started. I brought along a deck of cards with me. I need 3 people from the audience to help me out with these cards. rather than me pick you, hands down, here's what's going to happen. Like if I just come out right now and if I just like take these cards and spread them out in the air and say, hey, pick a card, you guys are going to accuse me of cheating, that somehow I'm like controlling the cards or making the person take the card I want them to take. The other thing I hear all the time after this is that all this stuff is like set up and rigged. And so when there's a volunteer participating, you guys think that maybe we just talked to them before the whole session started, that maybe we just told them what to do and what to say. So to make this completely fair, to make sure it's clear that this was not set up or rigged, I actually have no control over which three of you are about to choose a card. Here's how this is going to work. Deck of cards, there's 52 different options. There are 4 suits. There are hearts, diamonds, spades, clubs. They're not clovers. They're not puppy's feet. All right, people? They're clubs. All right? Ace through king, that means there is an ace, and then a 2 through 10, and then jack, queen, king. Those are the cards. It's helpful if you know the names. You're going to have a choice, any one of those 52. But instead of me picking you, we're going to make it random because I have these rubber bands here around my wrist. I'm just going to rubber band the deck up nice and tight. That way the cards can't fly around the room and go everywhere. And after I toss them out in the air, whoever catches them or whoever they smack in the head, depending on who's paying attention, those would be the 3 people who choose a card. Now, if you catch the card, these are your instructions. I have no control over where these are going to go, so listen up. This is all I need you to do. We don't have time for you to take all the rubber bands off and then put them back on and then back off again and back on. I just need you to look at a card. So you don't have to pull it out. Just look at one somewhere in the middle of the deck. Don't choose the one on the front. Right now, it's the king of hearts. We can all see that one. Go somewhere in the middle of the deck. Here at the corners where the cards are printed, just lift up very clearly. Look at a card. Make sure you see it clearly. Make sure you know what the name of that card is, suit and everything. Memorize it. Don't forget it. That's it. Guys, do not forget your card. Trust me, do not forget your card. This whole thing gets very uninteresting, all right? We're going to throw the cards around the room underhanded from person to person. Underhanded, all right? Guys, at the end of this session, go look at my YouTube videos. You will find out why this is a really bad idea. All right, underhanded. Somewhere in this section, somebody catch the cards. Hold them up in the air so I can see who has them, who has the cards. All right, that's great. I don't know who you are. You must be like a celebrity or something, but she is like freaked out that you just caught those cards. That's awesome. Don't let your friends see. All the girls around you, they're trying to peek. Your eyes only. Look somewhere in the middle of the deck at any card you want. Memorize it. Don't forget it. Do you have one? Do not forget the name of that card. Do not say it out loud. Do not tell anyone. Toss the cards that direction to a second person underhanded. Here we go. All right. Who has the cards now? Dude, did he just levitate? I think he just levitated. That was awesome. All right, did you look in the middle at a card? Don't forget it. One more toss somewhere in this section of the audience. Here we go. Boom. All right, do you know the names of the cards, bro? Do you know the names? Yeah, all right, lift up somewhere in the middle. Look at a final card. You're the last person, last card. As soon as you have one, let me know. Got it? All right, you're the last person. You can actually take the cards. Just throw them back up here to me. Here we go on the count of 3. I love coming to San Diego to Future Quest. This is where things get a lot more interesting. If you just looked at a card, please stand up. The 3 people who looked at cards, please stand up. We have one right over here, one right there, and one is, what happened to this? It just flew out? All right, cool. You're standing up too. That's a good job, man. You can follow instructions. Good job. I'm messing with you, bro. Right now, I want you and these other 2 people over here, I need all 3 of you to look up here at me, and I want you to concentrate on the name of your card. I want you to picture it. It's not like you're talking to yourself. Don't say it to yourself. It's more visual. Like I actually want you to see the image of your card. I want you to see it in color, black or red. Count out the number of spots. Picture the shape of those spots. If it's a face card, picture the letter really big with the shape next to it. Really picture your card. Here's what's going to happen. Without them saying anything at all out loud, I'm going to attempt to get a feeling, keyword attempt. I'm going to try to get a feeling of the cards you're thinking of and name them out loud. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully, I get at least 2 out of 3. If I get your card right, or if I'm wrong, well, just for fun, let's save the suspense until the end. Don't say yes or no. Don't nod your head. Don't even smile, okay? Just listen, concentrate. Look up here, bro. Picture your card. Got it in mind? Okay. I'm not sure about one of these. There's a 5. 5 of spades. 5 of spades like the arrow. There's a face card. It's red. It's a queen. Queen of diamonds. Last one is I'm going to say an 8. 8 of clubs, 8 of clubs, like the clover. If I correctly named the card that you were thinking of, would you please sit down? All right, let's give them all 3 a big round of applause. Well done, well done. Okay, before anybody here gets freaked out and they're like, who invited a witch to church? I want to make myself really clear, all right? I am an illusionist. That means that what you just experienced was just an illusion. Yeah, like, look, I'm not here to insult your intelligence. I can't convince you that I have any sort of like magical powers or supernatural abilities. I'm not psychic or anything like that. What you just experienced, regardless of how it might have seemed or looked or felt, that was actually just a trick. It was a trick on your eyes, a trick on your minds, and nothing more. If I'm honest, that was actually a simple trick that I can explain to everyone here this afternoon in about 5 minutes or less. I won't, obviously, but I could. And the reason I won't is it would ruin all the fun, right? It's actually that wonder that makes magic so magical. We'll talk about that in the next session. But for now, what you need to understand is that this is a natural ability that is learned. It's not some sort of supernatural gift that was given to me. Learning to do magic tricks is just like any other performing art in the world. Like you going to a music store and buying a keyboard or a guitar or a drum set does not make you a musician any more than you knowing the secret to a magic trick makes you a magician. This stuff takes hours of practice invested into it to learn how to create the appearance of something that seems real when in fact it is just a trick. And that is actually what captivated me for the longest time. The fact that someone can study the principles of deception that make magic tricks possible and use them to create something that seems so real that is totally fake. Let me explain. A little over 10 years ago, I was on this tour in Southeast Asia. I was performing in 2 countries on this particular tour, India, and then this little small country off the southern coast of India known as Sri Lanka. And while I was in Sri Lanka, we performed an illusion with an old antique table, similar to this one up here on stage. After the show, this man comes up to us and he's like, hey man, where'd you get that table? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, I know where you got it. I'm more curious how you know the man. I was like, what are you talking about? He goes on to explain to me that down the street from where he lived, there in Sri Lanka, there was a man who had a table, and that guy's table looked exactly like mine. Now, the guy who had the table claimed it could move around. He said the table could actually slide across the floor without anyone touching it. He said that was possible because of spirits, that the spirits were manifesting their presence by possessing the table and making it move. Obviously, I was a little skeptical. I knew it was possible for people to be tricked by illusions, but I decided, let's just go visit this man. Let's just do a little research. And what I discovered that day, it actually taught me a lesson that I will never forget. Before I tell you what that lesson was, I want to perform this for you. To do that, I need some more help from the audience. I want to actually get one of you up here on stage this time to help out. All right, if you'd like to help, please raise your hand. All right, I'm going to go with, yeah? All right. I'm going to go with the girl right there in the yellow shirt on the front row. Come on down. Everybody clap for her. Give her a big round of applause for coming up. What's your name? Make your way up here, Abby.
Hi,
awesome. How old are you?
I'm 15.
You're 15 years old. Are you serious?
I'm short.
That is exactly how old I was when I was your age.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All right, sorry, that was dumb. All right. I needed you nice and close here up on stage to ensure to all those people out there that what they are about to experience is exactly what they would be experiencing if they were inches away from this table where you are. I want to put it right here between you and I, kind of in the middle of the stage. It was Abby, right?
Yeah.
You're doing perfect so far. You're standing in the right spot. Maybe over just a little bit, right over that trap door.
Wait,
I'm just
what?
messing with you. There's no trap doors. Make sure you're paying attention. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Follow the instructions very carefully. First of all, are there any kind of weird gadgets on my hand other than my ring and my watch? There's no weird strings or ropes running across the stage that you can see. There's no trap doors. You just confirmed that. There's nothing above our heads except for some lights. Is that correct?
Yeah.
There is a tablecloth draped across the top of this table. Your job is very simple. I need you to help me hang onto the corners of the tablecloth, all right? There are 2 corners on your side, so just hold on 1 corner in each hand. I'm going to hold on to the 2 corners on this side in my hands. Abby, no matter what happens, do not hold this table down. Like, don't put any downward pressure on it. Don't hold it down with the tablecloth. Just hold the corners lightly like this with plenty of slack. If this works, down just a little bit more slack. If this works, if the table decides to move, I just need you to move with the table. Okay?
What the heck? No way!
Abby, go ahead and lift the tablecloth up so you can see the table. Look at her. Lift it up higher, 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 so you can actually see it. Whoa, whoa. Okay, all right, let go, let go, let go, let go. Hey, let's give Abby a big round of applause. Abby, you were awesome. High five. Come on, guys, you can do better than that. Give it up for Abby, ladies and gentlemen. She was super brave. Okay, all right. I want to be clear. I don't want anybody to leave here this afternoon confused about what you're experiencing here in this room, so I want to be very clear. Before I do, quick little audience survey just to satisfy my curiosity. I'm curious, how many of you just saw a table levitating right here on this stage with your own eyes? Anyone? Okay, all right. Big fans, but that's pretty weird, right? Like, now here's the reason why that's so weird. Because think about it. I am an illusionist. That means that what you just experienced was just an illusion. But again, you saw a table levitating right here on stage, even though it wasn't. Now, I know this is hard to believe, and it sort of messes with your head a little bit, and some of you are starting to get confused, but I promise you that table was not actually levitating right now. That is not a power that I have. I don't have the ability. No human being can make tables fly or levitate. That means that what you just experienced was just a trick. It was an illusion. Now, what does that tell us? That means that somehow I just took advantage through 6 months of really hard work and practice almost every single day, learning how to create the illusion of a table flying. That's how long it took me to learn and perform and perfect this illusion. Somehow through that practice, I found an ability to sort of allow your senses to misperceive what was actually happening so that your eyes would convince your brain, I think I'm seeing a table float and fly, even though it actually wasn't. It was just an illusion. We'll come back to that in a second. For clarity, for those of you who are wondering, yes, the guy in Sri Lanka, remember the story about the dude who told me he'd seen the table? He was telling me the truth. In his village there in Sri Lanka, there really was a man who really did have a table, and it really did look exactly like mine. However, the part about him communicating with spirits and all that stuff, that was a big fat lie. He was doing nothing supernatural. Trust me, I believe in the supernatural. But this man was doing nothing supernatural in any way whatsoever. And people hear me tell that story all the time, and they're like, but how do you know for sure? Because I went to visit the guy, and after talking to him, I found out that he got his table from the same place I got mine. He ordered it from a magic trick catalog from the state of Kansas all the way from the United States of America. Like, this guy was doing a magic trick to take advantage of the way thousands of people in his country thought so he could lead them down this really clever path of deception. And they believed him. Why did they believe the lie that he was telling? It is not because they are any less intelligent than we are here in America. I've discovered it's because, like all human beings, listen, we have a tendency to think that the truth is equal to what our senses or feelings perceive. You see, they saw a table floating. They assumed, well, it must be real because I'm seeing it with my own eyes. People heard the story with their own ears, and I heard it from someone I trust. It must be true. They felt something. People told me, like, well, it has to be real. Like, I feel this thing. Like, I feel something when the table's flying. Just like many of you felt something just now because I told you a story. Even though that story was true, it set a tone. It set an emotion in the room, and then I matched it with the right music and the environment to make you feel something, which made the illusion even more believable. How many of you guys have heard this saying? Seeing is believing. Here's what I've learned, and what a lot of magicians have learned by partnering with scientists. When the scientific community wants to understand how the senses work, a lot of times they come and partner with magicians to do studies so we can understand how our brain is wired and works with our five senses. What we've discovered is that seeing is actually not always believing. I think what I just did for you proves that. Seeing is not always believing. You saw a table floating even though it wasn't. What we have discovered is actually more accurate, is that believing is actually seeing. What that means is that what you believe has the power to change what you see. Now, I'm starting to get ahead of myself, so we'll come back to that again in the next session. So seeing is not believing, but believing is actually seeing. What I discovered when I was on the plane, flying across the ocean back home to America, staring down, going, why did so many people fall for this guy's lie? I had this epiphany. I realized that the principles of deception that people like me use in the context of a magic show to trick people like you, those principles of deception are universal. They're used every single day by all sorts of people to trick them into believing all sorts of things. Really, the principles of deception that I use in the context of a magic show are the same principles of influence and persuasion that people use every single day to sell you cars and clothes and makeup. The only difference between labeling someone a deceiver or a con man or labeling someone a really good leader is the motive behind how they use the psychological principles of influence and persuasion. Which means that sometimes we call the people who deceive people magicians or illusionists. A lot of times we joke around and call them politicians. A lot of times we call them marketers and advertisers. Here's this. Did you guys know that here in America, we actually take in about 4,000 to 5,000 messages and advertisements every single day? You guys in this room, you're taking about 5,000 messages a day from the world around you. We live in such a media-saturated culture that so many times a day, people are trying to tell you how you should spend your time, how you should spend your money, who you should hang out with, how you should feel about yourself, how you should see yourself when you see the reflection of yourself in the mirror, influencing the way that you think and how you see others and what you think the truth is. Next thing you know, those influences, they start shaping the way that you make your choices and how you live your life and what you think the truth is. And over time, we allow ourselves to become cleverly deceived. Our mind starts getting shaped, and you start to change your identity. And next thing you know, everything is out of whack, and you can't even remember what the truth is anymore. Has anyone in this room ever gotten tricked into doing something that later on you wish you wouldn't have done? Anyone? I'm going to raise 2 hands, right? Because it's happened to you so many times. Let's go back to one of those moments. If it's recent for you, if you can think of a big one, like, man, I regret it. I wish I wouldn't have done that. You got tricked into doing something that later on you wish you wouldn't have done. I bet in that moment, the reason why you made that choice that now you think you regret is because in the moment there was something that made it look like a good idea. There was something that made it sound like a good idea. There might have been something that made it feel like a good idea at the time. One of the most powerful lessons that I've learned from being an illusionist is that things are not always as they seem. Now I want to break this down for you guys because I can see some of you are like tracking with me and like I'm starting to understand what you're talking about. Some of you, your eyes are starting to glaze over a little bit and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Will you just do some more magic tricks, please? And so I'm going to do another thing for you guys. We're going to play a little game. You guys like games here in San Diego? All right. Here's how this game works. Basically, it starts with a card. I have a card. I've drawn some spots on both sides of this card. And the game is really simple. Basically, after you take the poster board and draw the spots, I show you both sides pretty quickly. Your job is basically to remember how many spots you see. All right. It's really simple. Let's check it out. Here we go. Here's the card. There's the first spot on this side. Everyone remember that? One spot. There's 4 spots on this side. Remember that. 3 spots on this side. 6 spots on this side. 1 spot right over here. Okay, all right. Now some of you, this is a simple optical illusion. It's like the hand thing. Some of you are already starting to figure this out, right? Some of you, most of you look a little confused. We'll try it again. Here we go. 1, 4, 3, 6, and 1. Okay, all right. Now, I just broke the rules of magic. We are not supposed to do the same trick for the same person more than one time. You're not going to hurt my feelings. How many of you figured out this secret the second time around? How many of you guys know now? All right, cool. All right. How many of you guys figured out the secret the first time around? All right. We still have some hands that weren't raised at all. I'm going to do this a third time. I want to give everyone a fair shot. For those of you who are trying to explain it to the person sitting next to you, I will do that for you in just a second. Trust me, I'm a professional. All right, I'll explain it. Watch. Third time. This should make it super easy, and I'm going to do something. I'm going to disconnect my speech with my hand motions, which is actually going to make it easier for you to figure out the secret because your brain's going to engage differently. Here we go. Ready? Watch. 1, 4, 3, 6, and 1. All right, now this should have gotten easier and easier each time. Now, show of hands. It doesn't matter which time. How many of you know the secret to the trick? All right, cool. We have the majority. All right, awesome. All right, now check this out. I'm going to explain how this works for anyone who didn't get it. And even if you already figured out this secret, let me explain why these principles of deception are at play, how they work, and how it sort of messes with your mind. Because these principles that make this trick possible are no different than reading someone's mind with a deck of cards or making a table look like it's levitating. All right, ready? Watch. Most of you know I actually have 2 spots, right? Here's the crazy thing. If I take my hand, if I cover up that second spot, if I look at people and say 1, I've been trained, classically trained, since I was a little kid to take advantage of something that human beings do every single day. It's called making an assumption. Yeah, your eyes see 1 spot. Your ears heard someone confirm what your eyes were already seeing. Basically, your mind is led to assume, I must be seeing everything there is to see. I'm a pretty smart person. There must be only one spot. If I put my hand on this side, if I look at people and say 3, everything changes. The psychology of how your mind works, how this trick works, basically causes your eyes to project that third spot underneath my hand and convince your brain you actually saw it, even though it was never there and there were only 2. Now, to give you guys a little tip about how deception works. Most people's ability to influence you or lie to you, my ability to trick you in a magic show with a magic trick, is usually equal to your willingness to let other people influence or do your thinking for you. Let me explain. If I were to walk out on stage right now, if he's like, hey, please welcome Harris III, now right now, I'm like, hey guys, what's up? Check out this card. Hey, question for you guys. How many spots do you see on this card? You guys would answer by saying, I see 2. Yeah, you see the trick wouldn't work without all the buildup. The reason why is because I put it in the form of a question. Get this, just by me asking how many spots do you see, that gives your subconscious permission, as if you needed my permission, to think a little bit more critically. In other words, you actually engage on a deeper level. You think for yourself instead of letting me think for you. If I want to trick you, what do? I don't ask you to think. I just tell you what to think, and you let it work, right? I'm like, hey, look, there's 3. You guys see 3, especially if I go quickly, even though there's only 2. Same is true with the other side. Looks like 4. They're actually 5, right? Put my hand here and say 4. Your mind sees 4. Put my hand over here on this side and say 6. Once again, your eyes see 6 spots, even though there are only 5. Pretty cool, huh? That's how illusions work. Now, I'll give you guys another example. Some people look at this card long enough, they don't believe me. They're like, oh yeah, I figured that out. That was so easy. Some of those people are actually among the easiest to deceive because that pride sort of clouds their judgment and it makes it harder for them to see more clearly, which is why some people look at this card long enough and they actually see 3 spots on this side of the card. Some people actually see 6 spots on this side of the card. I know, right? It's crazy. Whoa, hold up. There are 3. There really are 6. You guys are right. You know what? Sometimes the more you look at this thing, the more spots you're actually going to see. That is an example of an illusion. That's why you cannot live your life by your senses alone. Give yourselves a big round of applause for following along with that one. I'm impressed. I'm impressed, for real. That's good. It's okay. Talk it out. Get it out. It's okay. Okay. All right. Now listen. This would be really cool. It would be so cool if I could come here and I'd be like, guys, check this out. My name is Harris III, and God has uniquely called me as his messenger, and I have discovered this brand new truth that he alone has given me to share with the world. It is easy to be deceived. Be careful. Don't fall for the lie, right? Like, that'd be pretty cool, but I am not the first person to ever talk about this. And this is ironic because people come up to me all the time and they're like, I have never thought about this before. What I've learned from experience is that most of you in this room have actually never in your life stopped and paused and asked yourself, is it possible that am I being influenced by the world around you more than I am influencing the world? Most of you have never stopped to ask yourself, is it even possible that maybe I've gotten tricked into believing stuff about myself or other people that might just not be true? And maybe the reason I believe it is because it seems true, but if things are not always as they seem, maybe it's not, and I need to get real about what the truth is. Like, people think about that all the time after, and they come up and talk to me. They're like, yeah, I've never thought about it before, but we've been warned about it since the beginning of time, right? Like, if we were to pause right now and open up our Bibles, which we're going to do in a second, but if we were to do it right now, and we were to start at the very beginning of the Bible, and started flipping through the pages, the story of humanity and the history of the world, looking for examples of deception, how many pages would we have to turn before deception enters the scene? Depending on the font size of your Bible, like 1, right? Like, a lot of you guys know this story. It's the very first book of the Bible, the book of Genesis. Yeah, all right, who said the book of Adam and Eve? That was Abby up on stage. That table messed with your mind big time, didn't it, Abby? The book of Genesis, there's 2 people there. Their names are, Abby? Adam and Eve, right? And everything is perfect. Like, God creates all this stuff, and then he creates you and I, and everything is perfect, right? Think about that. What would it mean to live in a world with perfection? Well, it'd probably start with us, right? It would mean no sin, no mistakes, no regrets from our past, never like sleepless nights going, I can't believe I did that. Never you having to worry about or carry around any sort of burden because of what someone else did to hurt you, because that would have never happened. You would never have to untag yourself in a Facebook photo or retake a second selfie for Snapchat because every single one would be absolutely perfect, which has less to do with how you look and more about the fact that you wouldn't have insecurity yet about how you actually look, because everything was perfect and the world wasn't broken yet. What did it take to mess up perfection? A few little tricks, right? Some of you guys know the story. His name's Satan, the master of deception. He comes slithering in the garden in the form of a snake, yeah. And if you guys go back and read this, listen, in Genesis chapter 3, go back and study it sometime. We don't have time to dig too deep into it today. He doesn't start, like everyone assumes, by just blatantly lying to Adam and Eve. If I want to trick you with a magic trick on stage, I do not have to lie. I simply create visual metaphors and sort of visual sentences, and then I leave the blank. And you guys will easily fill in the blank and deceive yourselves. He doesn't start by just blatantly lying to Adam and Eve, because deception's actually made craftier than that. He starts by asking what seems like a simple and innocent question. But he actually speaks four of what I believe are the most dangerous words of all time. Some of you guys might remember if you studied it. He says, hey, did God really say? Yeah. Did God really say? In other words, hey, are you sure? Like, are you sure that's what the truth is? Like, think about this for a moment. Try to wrap your mind around this. In that moment, truth was a thing. Like, there was this thing called absolute truth, and it was just a thing. Everyone's like, yep, that's what the truth is. And it didn't matter what our senses perceived, what our eyes or ears told us. It didn't matter how our feelings felt. It was just like, nope, this is the truth. It's based on what is revealed to us by God, and we don't question it. It's just true. In that moment, that idea of trusted truth got thrown out the window. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, you know what? It's all relative. There's no truth. Truth is whatever you want it to be. Oprah wasn't even around yet, and it was always like, you live your truth, right? Like, that was already a thing. Now, even though our world celebrates that now, back then, that's when it started. It was like, the truth is whatever you want it to be. You should make your choices. Instead of thinking that there is this other thing that gets to define what reality is, you get to define what reality is. You make your choices based on what looks good to you. You make your choices based on what sounds like a good idea. Just do whatever feels right in that moment. Just go with your heart. Just trust your heart. Even though later we would be warned that even our hearts are deceitfully wicked. Adam and Eve had perfection in the entire Garden of Eden. And yet even they still reached for the illusion of more. And unfortunately, you and I, we have been reaching for that same illusion ever since, haven't we? Let me explain how this happened to me. When I was a little kid, way before I was interested in magic, I was actually obsessed with baseball. Do any baseball fans here tonight? Yeah? I loved baseball when I was a kid. I played baseball every single day. I got off the school bus, rain or shine, at my grandparents' house with this, an old hand-me-down baseball glove. I never had a new baseball glove of my own at that season of life. I just had to play with this old hand-me-down glove. The reason why is because my parents had minimum wage jobs. My dad worked at a factory. It was his job to cut out foam that went inside of like recliners and furniture. My mom worked as a housekeeper at a really small college of about 400 students. So obviously with minimum wage jobs, we barely had enough money to get by, man, let alone money to buy cool stuff like brand new baseball gear. And so I never got to play on an actual baseball team because we couldn't afford the fee for the uniform and all that. And the second reason was because, well, I sucked at baseball. That's why I didn't actually get to play on a team. But I remember playing with my cousins every day after I got off the school bus. I was like, man, more than anything else, I just really want my own baseball glove, like a brand new baseball glove. Christmas time was coming up. Remember, I'm 9. I go to the store. I try on every single glove. I come home. I tell every single member of my family exactly which glove it was I wanted for Christmas. Christmas morning finally comes. Man, we start opening up our presents, and guess what? Yeah, no baseball glove. Yet, there was one house left that we always visited a few days after Christmas, up where my dad was originally from in St. Louis, Missouri. Grandma and Grandpa's house. Man, I was pumped. My grandma, I don't know about your grandma, she always tried to spoil me. I did not have a socks and underwear giving kind of grandma, right? Like, she always got me the good stuff. And I was so excited. I was like, Grandma knows I want a baseball glove. We get up to St. Louis. We jump out of the car. I run into the living room to check out the Christmas tree. I spotted it. That year, under the tree, there's a box with my name on it, and it is the perfect size to hold the brand new glove I wanted. As soon as I saw that box, this huge bright light shone down from heaven. Choirs of angels appeared and started singing and rejoicing. Okay, that part of the story is not true. Man, it felt like it at the time. She had that smile. You know the smile people have when they bought you exactly what you wanted for Christmas? She's like, here you go, Harris, Merry Christmas. I rip off the paper. I opened up the lid. Still no baseball glove. It was a simple box of magic tricks. A simple magic kit. Now, I'll be honest with you guys here tonight. All I could think to myself as soon as I saw that box of tricks was, this is stupid. Now, I did not say that out loud, right? It's my grandma. I love my grandma. I had to be nice. I remember like cringing, thinking, okay, I gave her a big hug. I'm like, she dropped the ball this year, Grandma. I don't know what happened, but I didn't say that out loud. I'm just like, Grandma, thank you for the magic tricks. Eventually, we gather up our stuff. We start driving back home to Tennessee. I mean, I can still remember it, sitting on the back seat of my parents' old Subaru car, driving down the interstate, pouting and whining, going, why did she buy me a magic kit? All I asked for was a baseball glove. Man, that's not that much to ask for. I remember getting back to my bedroom, took that box of tricks, threw it over in the corner of my floor. I wasn't interested at all. But eventually I would discover that sometimes the things that you and I reach for, the things that you and I feel like we just have to have the most, if we are not careful, like a magician in a magic show, misdirecting our focus, those things that we get tied up in this world, they can distract us and cause us to miss out on the experiences, the gifts, the truths that God can bring into our lives during the times that we least expect them. I just didn't know that yet. School hadn't started back yet. January rolled around. I was bored. I had nothing else to do. So I sat down on my bed and I opened up that little box of magic tricks. And I learned my very first illusion. I still have a few minutes. I think I can squeeze it in. Do you guys want to see it? Yeah. I still cared. Whoa, that was way too much enthusiasm. It is not that cool, all right? I'll show it to you, but it's not that impressive. It was with this little red ball. As I sat in my bedroom and played with this, I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do. It was like just a little ball. And finally, I start flipping through the instructions. It was acceptable. I was 9 years old. I had not become a man yet. Instructions were still cool, all right? So I'm flipping through the instructions, and the instruction book said there was this vase, this magical vase, and apparently all you do is you take the ball, put it inside, and you cover it up with the lid, make it disappear, and you can make it reappear over and over again. And I'm like, this is dumb. This is way too simple. No one is going to be fooled by this. And to prove that I was right, I went to perform for my very first audience. Mom and Dad. I walk into the living room. They're watching TV. I was like, Mom and Dad, gather around. Here's what Grandma got me for Christmas. I put the ball in the vase, covered it with the lid, snapped my fingers, waved my hands everywhere, which I knew was going to do nothing. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Put the ball in, snap my fingers, it disappears. I put the lid back on, I snap my fingers again, and ball comes back. Now, I know to a lot of you guys, this is just a simple magic trick. I know that. Do you know what my parents said? How in the world did you do that? And I was like, I'm sorry? They're like, that was amazing. Their eyes lit up, my eyes lit up. I thought I might do magic for the rest of my life. I immediately went and grabbed my little sister, shoved her into a box. I started cutting her in half. She came out of the box with this split personality. It was weird, you guys. Weird. Don't worry, she was excited about it. She was so excited, she was beside herself. That happened. The only problem is that now she's my half sister. Oh man, you guys clap for that stuff? That's amazing. Same sister, so what a lot of y'all are thinking, like, hey bro, you should probably stick to magic instead of jokes and comedy, which was fine with me because magic changed my life. I don't know where your story is. Maybe some of you guys can relate. When I was a little kid growing up in a poor family, man, we didn't have cool stuff, which means I didn't have any friends. In elementary school, kids didn't want to come play at my house. They want to sit with me at the lunchroom. I didn't have cool stuff. We didn't live in the right part of town. All right? I didn't have any friends. Middle school, same thing, different reasons. It became about the right look. All my clothes came from yard sales and hand-me-downs. I couldn't afford to have the right brand or trend or the right emblem on the outside of my shoes to be one of the cool kids, so I didn't have any friends. High school, freshman year, I would go into the cafeteria during lunchtime, sit down at a table by myself. Nobody wanted to come sit with me. But if I reached into my pocket, if I pulled out a deck of cards or a piece of rope or a coin or something, if I started doing magic tricks, everything changed. All of a sudden, the popular kids in my school, they wanted to come and sit at my table. All the really hot, beautiful girls in my school still would not come sit at my table. I don't know why y'all are laughing at that part, actually. Eventually, here's what happened. There was this kid on the football team. He was like the most popular kid in my school. And he was sitting by himself. I have no idea why he was sitting by himself that day because he had so many friends. But he was at the table over from me, and I was at the table across from him, and I was practicing a card trick. And eventually, he looks across the table, and he's like, hey, man, what are you doing with those cards? I was like, me? Cards? Oh, I'm just practicing a magic trick. He's like, magic? Do something. So I'm like, okay. So I go over. He picks a card. I find his card. Dude, his mind is blown. He's like, how did you do that? I was like, can you keep a secret? This is awesome. And he goes, yeah, of course. And I smiled and said, me too. And then I saw this dude stand up. He put his hands on top of the table. I saw his biceps, which were like the size of my waist at the time. And I was like, dude, I am totally messing with you. I thought he was going to beat me up. He's like, I'm just messing with you too, man. That was really cool. Hold on. Turns and leans down the hallway. He's like, guys, come over here. You got to check out this magic kid. And all his buddies came over. I did more magic. They were amazed. They went and told their friends, who told their girlfriends, who told their friends. Over the course of a couple weeks, I started becoming one of those popular kids in my school. We started getting in trouble for not even doing bad stuff, like just unintentionally creating traffic jams in the hallways between classes. We didn't have cell phones back then, so they'd like pass notes. Harris, between second and third period, locker 303, magic show. Bell would ring, boop, there it'd be, locker 303. Had my pockets packed full of magic. All these popular kids would stand around and start chanting my name like, Harris, Harris. My finale was always making it look like I could levitate like a few inches off the ground. Instantly, the circle would split. Kids would start running down the hallways, screaming, swearing, cussing. All the teachers were like, that kid's the devil for sure. That kid is definitely the devil. It was awesome. It wasn't awesome. They felt I was like possessed and into witchcraft and stuff, but it felt so good to get that kind of approval and popularity from other people. And in a very short period of time, the magician, the illusionist, the supposed expert in deception, I became cleverly tricked and deceived myself. Guys, I was so desperate because I was so insecure. I wanted so badly to get popularity and approval from others because I was desperate to be liked that I started changing things about myself that I should not have changed. I started making really stupid choices that I should not have made, things that I regret to this day. But I'm telling you guys, in the moment, it looked like a good idea. It all sounded like a good idea, felt like a good idea at the time. I just yet to be an illusionist long enough to learn that valuable lesson that things are not always as they seem. But I just thought if I could take this magic stuff, I could go travel around the world. I could get rich and famous, and life would be awesome. And the 5,000 messages I was taking in, just like you, told me that. Harris, if you could just be seen wearing those kind of clothes, hanging out with those kind of celebrities, living in that part of town, driving that kind of car, in that kind of house, your life would be awesome. Well, I had a chance to live my dream, and it never seemed so awesome. By the time I had turned 16, I was making 6 figures every year, traveling around the country doing magic shows. By the time I was 18, I'd performed in almost all 50 of the United States by request, started doing tours in Europe, Asia, Canada, started performing on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. By the time I was 21, I'd made $1 million doing magic shows. So I thought, you know what? Hold up. $1 million doing magic shows. So I decided I'm going to get out of my little small town. I'm going to move to the big city of Nashville, which wasn't that big. It's getting bigger. And I'm gonna move to Franklin. It's like the wealthiest suburb of Nashville. And I built a big, huge, fancy house. I filled it up with nice, expensive things and big screen TVs back when those were really expensive. I parked 2 nice, expensive cars in my driveway. Why? I was not thinking for myself. I was letting the world think for me. I did all that because that's what the world told me that I was supposed to do. And no matter how much money I made or how many people asked for my autograph or wanted to take their picture with me, no matter how many clubs I went to with the right famous celebrities, I came back to all of my fancy stuff and went to bed every single night feeling totally empty, thinking there's got to be more to life than this. I felt lied to and trapped and entangled in deception. And so I want to share with you guys one more thing really quick before I run out of time that will give you a picture of how my life felt when I was trapped and entangled in lies. To do that, I need 2 final volunteers from the audience. I got a girl on stage last time. Let's get a couple guys this time. Let's get some gentlemen up here. All right. I'm going to go with second row, second guy. Yep, you right there. And dude in the hat. Dude in the hat. Come on down. Everybody clap for them both. Give them both a big round of applause for volunteering. How's it going, man? What's your name? Aaron. Very nice to meet you, Aaron. I'm Harris. What's your name, bud?
Connor.
Connor. Nice to meet you, Connor. Thanks for coming up. Do either of you have any idea what this is? This is a straitjacket. This was designed and meant to be worn by the criminally insane. It was basically to keep them from harming themselves and other people around them. What we have to figure out right now is who is on stage that's crazy enough to be strapped inside the straitjacket. Okay, all right. Believe it or not, usually the one who raises his hand are the ones who qualify. However, legally, I'm not allowed to put anyone inside of a straitjacket. It has something to do with like they could trip and fall off the edge of the stage and die or something. I don't know. But legally, I can't do it. So you are here to put me inside the straitjacket, okay? They seem like nice people out there, but that's what they want to see you do. They actually really want to see you put me inside of the straitjacket as tight as you possibly can. The tighter you put me inside the jacket, the harder it's going to be for me to get out. The harder it is for me to get out, the more fun it's going to be for all of them to watch me try, and the higher chance that I might fail. For those of you who are wondering, yes, I have failed before. It's very embarrassing. All right, so come over here, guys. Stand right here behind me. Begin by just pulling it up over my shoulders, if you don't mind. You're going to start with those 4 straps back there in the back. Oh, 1 second. Hold on. There will be one point where it'll be super obvious that you could hurt me. When that time comes, please be mature. Please do not hurt me, okay? I mean that. The rest of the time, you can make it tight. Start with those 4 straps back there in the back. Real quick, work together as a team. One can take every other one, all right? As you can tell, the straitjacket was designed and meant to be worn backwards. That way the person can be put into the jacket against their will, up against a wall or a floor. It also is what made it so hard to get out of because the straps are back there in the back. Person wearing the jacket can't see them, can't reach them. Even if you could reach them, they're kind of hard to mess around with because the ends of the sleeves are sewn shut. Everything's reinforced with leather and rivets. This jacket, like all regulation straitjackets, is made out of canvas. That's a type of material that doesn't stretch or really give in any way whatsoever. As soon as we're done with those 4 straps in the back, I'm going to spin around and give you guys a quick look at the back of the jacket just so you can see how this whole thing works. You guys got those 4? All right, there's the back of the jacket. Guys, it may not seem too tight yet. There's a few more straps. It will be tight by the time we're done, all right, I promise. The next strap was the one that was basically designed to go between the person's legs and buckle back to the back. This was here to keep the person from being able to stretch and pull the jacket up over the top of their heads. Guys, this is the part I was talking about. Maybe not so tight on this one, okay? All right. And you guys grab the end of that strap, okay? There's another buckle down there. You're going to get it as tight as it'll go, all right? Put the pin in the last pinhole. Do not yank on it fast, okay? Just pull it snug. Yeah, make sure you get it as tight as it'll go. Okay. So, good. All right. Take the buckle it up. Take the end of that strap. Because that strap's running vertically, I want to make sure the end isn't flopping around where I could get my hand on it easily. So take the excess part of the strap, tuck it underneath one of the other straps in the back. You can even wrap it around, tuck it in again if you want to make sure it's not dangling around. Last but not least, were the 2 arms. The 2 arms were actually crossed over in front of the person's body like this. The 6th and final strap was riveted to the end of the sleeve, ran around the person's body, and was buckled to the end of the sleeve on the other side. Guys, I know there's 2 of you. I know there's only 1 strap here. This is where you guys work together as a team. One of you can take the strap. The other one of you can push in my arms or shoulders, whatever you want to do to make sure this one's tight. All right, grab the end of the strap. Cross the arms over. Most people don't know to do that. That was well done. All right. Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Wow. Yeah, just get it as tight as you can, man. Put some muscle into it. Seriously. Yeah, yank it around, put some muscle. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Should have kept my mouth shut. That was good. Okay. Oh, man, I was not expecting it to go that tight. Oh, man. I'm standing in silence because the inner debate in my head is thinking, wow, this is really tight, but if I ask him to loosen it a notch, that would be super lame. So I think I just have to give this a shot. Are you guys satisfied? Yeah. You should be very satisfied. This is the tightest I've been in a straitjacket in a couple years. Please give them both a big round of applause for volunteering. Thanks very much, guys. You may go back to your seat. Appreciate you coming up. Oh, man. Okay. The straitjacket became famous after it was implemented and used, not in asylums, but after it was presented as a challenge to the world-famous escape artist by the name of Harry Houdini. Yeah, he was strapped inside. The first few times he got out, he wasn't hanging upside down from a rope like we see in those history books. The first few times, he flopped around the ground until he finally found his freedom in a jail cell. Believe it or not. I'm going to reveal to you the secret, breaking the rules of magic yet again here today. I'm telling you the secret of how Houdini got out of the straitjacket. For 2 reasons. One, it's a really fascinating piece of history. I think you'll find it interesting. And second, the real reason I'm telling you this is just in case you ever find yourself in this position someday. You never know. Houdini finally realized that if he dislocated one of his shoulders, It gave him the ability to stretch one of his arms up over the top of his head. With his shoulders still out of place, he'd bring his arms back around the front of his body and begin the most difficult part of the escape, which may not seem like it, but the hardest part is getting an arm worked up out of one of the sleeves of the jacket. The reason why that's so tough is because the jacket's still on your body. It's made out of canvas. It doesn't stretch. But if you can get an arm out of the sleeve and into the body of the jacket, he could shove his hand out of the top and bottom openings and then try to stretch around and reach some of the buckles in the back. If you can get undone or at least loosen 2 or maybe 3 of those back buckles, that was enough slack for Houdini to be able to stretch and pull the jacket up over the top of his head. Obviously, it was incredibly painful, which is exactly why the straitjacket escape itself has pretty much become a part of the history books. Most people have never experienced this performed live in person. Guys like me who sometimes do as many as maybe 100 presentations a year, I do not attempt this in every single presentation, trust me, just because of the toll it takes on your body. But I will now attempt this for your entertainment pleasure. For those of you, I'm going to be honest with you guys, it is a lot tighter than usual. I see a lot of cell phones out right now filming. If you film this and I fail and do not succeed and you post it to YouTube, you will disappear. Are you ready? That was pretty weak. Are you ready?
My soul cries out, my soul cries out. These boys cry out, these dry bones cry.
Good job, guys.
My soul cries out, my soul cries out for you. These bones cry out, these dry bones Life is breaking out, it's breaking out. Life is breaking out, it's breaking out, it's breaking
One second. This is usually the part where I'm supposed to say, do not try this at home. But guys, let's be honest. If you have a straitjacket laying around your house, we probably need to get you in some sort of counseling or something like that. So instead, let me leave you guys with a final thought before we pray and wrap up this session. I'm not going to come here and pretend like I know you. I know speakers, we come in all the time and we're like, you need to watch out for this and you need to be careful of this. And some of you, you're just like, man, I'm here because like a friend made me come, or my parents made me go, or I thought I might meet some cool people, or a guy or a girl or something. I'm just not really into this stuff that you guys are talking about. And like, you don't really know me and what's going on in my life and your world. And you know what? You're right. We don't know you. I don't know you. I don't know what your story is. I don't know how you've been tricked into believing lies. I don't know how you've deceived yourself or what you've fallen prey to. But there's one thing that I've learned for sure. I've been blown away and blessed to have the opportunity to travel to over 40 countries now around the world, performing magic for over 2 million people live. That doesn't include film and television. And along the way, when I do the shows in person, I've asked a lot of questions. I've failed a lot. I've been humbled a lot. I've learned a lot along the way. And I don't know everything for sure. There's a few things I know with absolute certainty, and one of them is this. We all have one of these. Now you might be like, whoa, I don't have a straitjacket at my house. I'm like, I know. Maybe not physically, but metaphorically, we all have a straitjacket. I've had multiple straitjackets in my lifetime that I've tried to fight my way out of. And it's a lie. I don't know what your straitjacket is. I just know that you have one. And I came all the way from Nashville, not just to entertain you and show you magic tricks, but to tell you this. Whatever it is that's trapping and entangling you, it's a lie. But there is truth, and the truth can set you free. Just so you know, I'm not the one making up those words. Let me read them to you. I've held out a long time wanting to open up this incredible book called the Bible, but I'm in the book of John right now in chapter 8. So if you want to read it or later or look it up now, it doesn't matter. Just so you know, I'm not making this stuff up. But there's this section where Jesus is talking to people, and he says these words that most of you have heard that are pretty famous. But the thing I want to focus on with you here today that hopefully you never forget is what they said back to Jesus when he told them the truth. He said this. So Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, "If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you shall know the truth. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Now, how many of you guys heard those words before? Maybe you grew up in church. Maybe you heard them around church. Maybe you thought it was like an old proverb. You didn't even know it was in the book of John in the Bible. The truth will set you free. I heard that growing up. They were like, "Hey, Harris, truth will set you free." They told me that as a teenager in church. "Hey, Harris, don't forget, man, truth will set you free." And I heard it so many times, and eventually I was like, free? Huh. You know what? Thanks. I live in America. Free country. Already free. Later on, "Hey, Harris, the truth will set you." I never really understood what it meant. And then I began to realize after studying the subject of deception from the perspective of an illusionist, I was like, whoa, hold up. If the truth can set us free, if that is really true, I don't know if it is yet. That's what I'm thinking at this time. That must imply that the lies that I believe, the stuff that I get tricked into believing that isn't true, the deception, if truth will set you free, then deception can trap and entangle you. Now, one of the greatest illusions, especially in a free country like America, is that we live under the illusion that we are already free. Which is why when those people said, "Hey, Harris, the truth will set you free," I was like, thanks, but no thanks. I am already free. That is exactly what they said to Jesus. Jesus said, "If you abide my word, you are truly my disciples. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." And then it says this in verse 33. They answered him. What up? Whoa. We are offspring of Abraham. We have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say we will become free? In other words, we've never been slaves. Newsflash, Jesus, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? We're already free. And then Jesus, that's when he drops that truth bomb, right? He says, Jesus answered him, "Truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin. The slave does not remain in the house forever. The son remains forever. If the son sets you free, you will be free indeed." So again, I do not know what your straitjacket is. I don't know what your sin is. I don't know what kind of deception your story has. I just know that you have one. And the good news is, whatever your straitjacket is, there is only one thing that can set you free. It is the truth. The question is, what is this mysterious truth? And what I've discovered, thankfully, the truth is not a list of facts. It's not a bunch of information that you memorize in church and then go out and tell people about. It can be that sometimes, but the truth is much deeper than that. It's much more comprehensive than that. The truth is a person. His name is Jesus. Because when he was here on earth, he didn't just say, "Hey guys, this is the truth." He said, "I am the truth." He said, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. No one comes to the Father except through me, which means to know the truth literally means to have a relationship with Jesus. And as we become followers of Jesus and place our life in his hands, he can loosen the straps of whatever it is that is trapping and entangling you and set you free to live the life that God created you to live out. So let's just finish by you asking yourself, what is this thing for you? Again, I don't know what your straitjacket is. I just know that you have one. What does this represent to you? What is it that you were trapped and entangled by? I'll go first. When I was a little kid, I got bullied and picked on. I wasn't the cool kid. It was frustrating. It made me angry. Sometimes the words hurt. I came home, led to depression sometimes. It felt like a straitjacket. I was trapped and entangled. Later on, quickly, shortly after I got involved in magic, my second mentor, a family friend that we thought cared about me, molested and abused me. It happened repeatedly for about 2 years. I didn't know what to do about it. I couldn't tell anyone. I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. So I just kept it a secret for years. Let me tell you something, magicians, we're really good at keeping secrets. It messed up my head, it hurt my heart. I was so confused as a little kid trying to make sense of what had been done to me. It became a straitjacket. Well, again, my relationship with my dad, I would like do some of my first magic shows, and everyone in the audience would give me a standing ovation, and I'd walk off stage to the wings, ready to run into my dad's arms to hear him tell me, wow, son, that was amazing. I'm so proud of you. And I would walk off, and my dad would be like, you know what, son, that wasn't good enough. You want to take this magic thing seriously? You're going to have to work a lot harder next time. You got to show me and everybody else that you've got what it takes. And look, now I'm grown up. I look back. He was trying to play the coach on the sidelines. That in his mind, that was love. He was trying to push me to succeed and live a life that he thought was better than the one that he was living. He had some own deception from the relationship with an alcoholic dad that he wasn't sure what to do with. So now I understand my dad, he loves me and he loved me deeply. He became the best man in my wedding. We repaired that relationship. But in that moment, all I heard was, you're not enough. And everything else in the world around me said, you're not enough. That's what the world's telling you. You're not thin enough or perfect enough or beautiful enough or strong enough or cool enough or wealthy enough or talented enough. Oh, but if you just bought one of these, or if you could be seen with these people, then you could show the world you have what it takes. And then we would come home after those shows and we would hold hands and pray before a late meal that my mom had prepared. And my dad would start every prayer exactly the same. Dear Heavenly Father. And I would just check out because all I could think in that moment was like, hold up, if God's my Heavenly Father and I'm not enough for my dad, how good do I have to be accepted by God? So I set off on a mission to prove to the world that I was the man. At 21, I built the right house in the right spot, hang out with all the right people so that all of my friends and family, the people that went to my church, and my dad could drive down my street and go, whoa, look at him now. He's the man. It was all an illusion. All that stuff, my vocation becoming a lifestyle, me doing a show and walking off stage and the show never ending, the approval, addiction, performance became another straitjacket that trapped and entangled me for years because my identity was wrapped up in what people like you thought about me. Some of you, you'll never be an entertainer up on a stage in front of a spotlight, and that's okay. You are still putting on one heck of a show. Some of you are given the performance of a lifetime, and you think you've got everybody fooled because you are so desperate to be loved and accepted. But the truth that is only found in Christ and in Christ alone means this. It is beautiful. Guys, you can take your straitjacket and instead of fighting it, you can leave it at the foot of the cross of Jesus and recognize that through his death and his resurrection, that debt, that thing that is trapping you, that debt has been paid. And you can be set free to live the life that God created you to live. So, right now I want to ask you guys to bow your head and close your eyes with me. I could go on and on and on about different straitjackets and some of the stuff that's trapped and entangled me. More than happy to be vulnerable with you guys and more than happy to talk with you as we have time. But some of you right now, you are enslaved to something and you have been fighting it. Like me, you are deceiving yourself. You're tricking yourself into thinking, yeah, but this must be similar to a magic show. There's got to be some sort of little trick for me to escape this thing on my own, so I'm just going to keep it a secret. It's not a secret to God. He already sees you as you are. And guess what? He loves you deeply anyway. You see, a lot of times we start focusing on our straitjackets and we think, well, there's no way God will love me. Look at this mess that I got myself into. God does not love a future version of you after you get out of your straitjacket on your own. Jesus is not in front of us here today saying, hey, clean up your mess and then come follow me. He says, just come follow me and I will set you free because I am the truth. And then you will know it and then you will be free indeed. I will cleanse you from all unrighteousness. I will assist you and help you in walking by faith by sending my Holy Spirit to live inside of you. I will save you. So God's love for you, it's unfathomable. You are enough for God, not because of who you are, but because of who Jesus is and what he did for you. The question is, do you know Jesus? Do you know the truth and have you been set free? Now everyone's bowing their head and closing their eyes all across this room. When I ask you that question, have you been set free? Some of you right now, you're like, no, I've got a straitjacket. How many of you right now would be willing to say, yeah, Harris, I've got a straitjacket. I am trapped and entangled in something and I don't want it anymore. I want freedom in Jesus. Would you just please raise your hand? Just so I'm aware. Wow. All right, put your hand back down. If that's you, man, if you're trapped and entangled by something, it is time. It's time to let go and let God set you free. If you're ready to say yes to Jesus and experience the fullness of the life that he is offering you in himself, we're not talking about all the counterfeit versions of life offered to you by the world. We're talking about real life, true freedom, all the joy and meaning and purpose that he meant and wired you to experience right now on earth and then someday in heaven. If you're ready to say yes to Jesus and escape from your straitjacket, will you just stand up and get out of your seat and come stand in front of the stage right now? Praise God. You guys can clap, it's okay. All right. There's still some time. There's a few more coming. If you're like, I don't want my straitjacket anymore, I want Jesus, there's still time. Just get up and join them. We can fill in the aisleways if we need to, if there's not enough room down here on front. All right, all of you that just came forward, I want you to look up here. I want you to look at me. I want you to listen to me with all of your heart. I am so pumped for you because you have no idea what you're about to experience when you begin to settle into the freedom that is found in Christ. Everything that you've known before, all of your problems, it's not going to make your life perfect. Jesus is going to make all your problems magically disappear. That's why it's called a life of faith. We still live in a fallen, broken, messed up world. And we don't always hear that truth on religious television. It's like, come follow Jesus and your life's going to be perfect. But I promise you, the life of freedom is so much better than the life trapped and entangled in sin. And so I want to pray over you. And then after I pray over you, there's some counselors in this room. And there's so many of you, I don't even know how we're going to do this, but if you're a counselor in this room, while I pray over them, would you just please come down and begin to maybe just grab a small group of them and find a spot in a hallway? Or if you're just like, I don't want anybody to pray with me, that's cool. No one's here to pressure you or get you to join any sort of cult or anything like that. There's just people here that love you guys. They want to love on you. They want to pray with you. They want to hear what's going on in your heart as much as you're willing to share. Is that cool? But right now I want to pray with you, and then would you be willing after I'm done praying to allow one of these counselors to pray with you after I'm done praying for you? Is that cool? All right, Heavenly Father, thank you. First of all, we just want to pause right now. We just want to thank you and praise you for being an amazing, truly supernatural, truly magical, amazing God. God, you are so incredible. You blow my mind. You are far more amazing than any of these measly little clever tricks that have been performed on stage here today. So thank you for showing up right now. God, I pray for each and every single one of these students. I wish I had time right now to just come alongside each one of them, wrap my arm around them, give them a hug, and pray for them by name. Because God, I've been there. I've struggled with addiction. I've struggled with depression. I talked to a girl not too long ago in the state of Michigan who was cutting her arms up. And she dropped a razor blade into my hand after the show and said, "That's my straitjacket. I don't want it anymore." And there are kids here in front of me that are feeling that exact same burden. They are trapped, they are entangled, and they are tired because that burden is exhausting. So God, I pray that right now, and then as these next few minutes progress, as they talk and pray with someone else, that through your Spirit you would begin to reveal yourself to them in a way they can understand and comprehend and respond to, that you would begin to loosen the straps of their straitjackets of sin, and that you would help them discover the fullness of your grace and the fullness of the freedom that you are offering them in yourself. God, I cannot set them free. Their counselors cannot set them free. Saying words of a prayer like they're magic words cannot set them free, but you can set them free. So God, we ask you for that. Reveal yourself to them. May they humbly come before you, confess their sins, and recognize and believe with all of their heart that you are who you say you are, that you raised from the dead, and that the same Spirit of God that raised you from the dead can now live inside of them. And as they go, as they experience the hardships of this world, may they boldly and courageously continue to walk by faith, instead of what they see. Bless them, Father. Save them. We ask this in your name, in the name of Jesus. And everybody said, amen. Amen.